Hello, assalamu alaikum, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be sharing more recipe ideas. I'm going to use the food I made in my Ramadan prep video, so if you haven't watched it, please make sure you watch it before. On the first day I'm going to make enchiladas, so I start with making a guacamole. Then I'm going to heat up the chicken I batch cooked before Ramadan. It is a mix of chicken, sweet peppers, onion and spices. I defrosted a small amount, and once it was hot I added tomato passata. Once the tomato sauce has reduced, I add a lot of cheese. And I mix it until it's fully melted. Then I'm going to pour a little bit of tomato passata in an oven dish. And I fill my tortilla with my chicken and cheese mix. I place it in the oven dish with the open side on the bottom. I add a bit more tomato passata on top of the enchiladas and I spread the sauce with a spoon. I don't cover the edge of the tortillas because I want them to get crispy. I top them up with a good amount of cheese and it's ready to go in the oven under the grill for a few minutes. When the cheese is melted and the edges are brown, it's ready. I serve it with a bit of red onions and coriander on top. On the second day, I am going to be making French tacos. It is a very popular fast food dish in France. They are as popular as burgers, but they are really different from Mexican tacos. In fact, they are more like burritos, but with a different feeling. Since I moved to England, I can't really find them, so when I'm craving it, I'm making myself. So I start with frying my onions until they are brown, and in the same time I put some chicken tenders in the air fryer as well as some fries. In the meantime, I am going to make my cheese sauce, so I put a small tub of single cream in a pot and I add triangle cheese. You can use any cheese that's not cheesy, like Parmesan or extra mature cheddar or hamburger cheese even. And I season it with just salt and pepper and a bit of nutmeg. Once the first bubble comes, I cut the heat off. It's gonna keep getting thicker after. For this recipe, I'm using large tortillas. The larger the better. In France, we use durum flatbreads, which are Turkish flatbreads. They are similar to tortillas, but larger and a bit softer. But I couldn't find any, so I just used normal tortillas. So I started with adding a good amount of cheese and then my tenders, which are cut in small cubes. Then I add my sauce and my caramelized onions. Then I add a few fries. And I finish with adding a few spoons of my cheese sauce. Then I'm going to close it like a burrito. And I toast it in the panini machine. The third recipe I'm going to be making is Turkish pizzas. I'm going to start with making the dough. So I add a teaspoon of salt in flour. Then I add a teaspoon of instant dry yeast in warm water with a teaspoon of sugar. When it's all combined, I add it to the flour. I'm going to add the quantities in the description box. I am going to be using a standing mixer, but it's possible to do it by hand as well. I start to mix on a low speed, and when I add more water, I increase the speed. I like to finish it by hand to make sure it has the right texture. So I add a bit of olive oil and I mix it well. I add a bit of flour if necessary, and then I form a ball. I left it proof for an hour, and then I'm going to split it in 8 little balls. I cover them with a towel and I let it proof for another half an hour. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare my fillings. The first filling I'm going to use is spinach and cheese. So I cut my spinach really small. And then I'm going to be adding Turkish cheese to the spinach. I mix it all together. The second filling is going to be cheese. So I use the same Turkish cheese and I add a lot of shredded mozzarella and cheddar. For the last filling, I'm going to use the lamb kebabs I made in my Ramadan prep video. They are a blend of lamb, peppers, onions, and spices and garlic. I'm going to add a tablespoon of red pepper paste and mix it all. Then I'm going to flatten my dough. I use a piece of parchment paper to roll the dough so it doesn't stick. I shaped it in an oval shape and I add my filling in the middle. Then I fold the side on top of the filling. I add a bit of egg wash on the sides of the pizza. I place them in the very bottom of my oven on 200 degrees. And after 20 minutes, they are ready. And that's it for today. If you like the video and want to see more recipes, please subscribe.